The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acomb. We are broadcasting from the Heselson studio, and this is the Steuben County office for the aging section of our program. Joining us in the Heselson studio, Congressman Nick Langworthy. Thanks so much for being here.
It's great to be back with you, Frank.
You have so much going on. Washington has so much going on. But first, let's talk, because we talk about energy, being New York State residents. Everybody's talking about energy. Tell us about the Energy Choice Act.
Well, this is a bill I'm really proud of. I mean, this is one of the main reasons I ran for Congress, was to go take this fight to the halls of Congress. We have a situation now where New York State and California are trying to mandate their whims on the entire country. What the Energy Choice does, the Energy Choice Act does, is ban the bans.
I love that.
So we no longer allow state or local governments to limit the choice of a consumer as to how to heat or power their home. If you want to solar power your house, if you want the whole thing to be solar, I support that.
Yeah.
If you want to build a giant windmill in your yard and that's within the local laws,
Sure.
I support that. The state has vilified natural gas, and we've seen it nowhere more than in the southern tier, where they robbed us of transformational opportunity to harness and really frack the natural gas that God gave us. It could have transformed our economy, just like it's done for Pennsylvania and Ohio. We've been left behind in the fracking revolution that has really made American energy exploration all the more possible. I just went out to visit fracking sites in West Texas. It's incredible what they're doing. And I remember in those Obama years, they were talking about us running out of oil.
Yeah.
Now, there will be no shortage of oil for hundreds and hundreds of years because of this technology, and it's done in a very sound environmental way. But we're going to this law, if we can get this to the president's desk, would prevent states from limiting that choice. And Albany's trying to do it through 1,000 paper cuts. We saw another hit this week with, one of their new ridiculous laws about the last 100 feet of a pipeline that can cost a homeowner $25,000 if they want to build a house and connect to natural gas. Natural gas is clean, it's effective, it's predictable, it's there in times of great crisis when the electrical grid's out.
And that's a great point. I know you talked about it in the past. This can literally lead to deaths in our rural area. If we lose power, and you know how it is in our area, we can lose power for a week sometimes. What if that's how you're heating your home in the winter?
Hey, we had, I'll never forget the blizzard at Christmas of 22. I was literally days away from being sworn into Congress. I had a newborn baby in our house.
Right.
And it was the worst blizzard I've ever lived through. 69 people lost their lives in that storm. And I looked the governor in the eye one time when she came to speak to the delegation, and I said, if your electrification mandates were online during that blizzard that affected both of our hometowns, it would have been 600 dead, not 69.
Easily.
Between EV mandates and the full electrification, people were without power for a long time, and the winds were such that the power workers couldn't get up to fix them, and it was a very helpless feeling. But we always knew we had our natural gas working.
Always
people, turned on their ranges in their kitchens if they didn't have natural gas heating their home. They had found creative ways to create heat, and natural gas was always there.
Yeah, always dependable. And another thing that I think is overlooked, I know Assemblyman Phil Palmisano talks about a lot. The grid is just not there for what she's proposing.
It's definitely not there. I've met with officials with the various power utilities. I mean, they tell me that the grid in upstate New York is akin to a third world country. Something you'd see in Central America.
There you go.
And it's because they've neglected it, and they haven't invested in it. They've taken the money and diverted it elsewhere instead of taking care of it and making it world class. All these rate increases that our taxpayers are seeing right now are supposed to help improve that grid. That grid needs to be severely improved. We need to get more energy onto it.
Right.
They have all these high hopes for what the electrical demand, whether it's electric school buses, electric cars, electric heating. They have no way to get it. I mean, Democrats, if you ask them typically, where does energy come from, they say the wall.
Right, no.
But we have to produce that electricity. We're very blessed in the state to have Niagara Falls and a hydropower infrastructure, which is about 20% of our total output. But over 40% of the state's electricity is through creating and burning natural gas. It is not something to be vilified. We need to celebrate it. We should be taking all the shuttered coal, the former coal electric plants, and repurposing those with natural gas so we have more energy available, not less.
It wasn't interesting to see the Democrats turn on Tesla because of Elon Musk.
In an instant.
Yeah, so
in
quickly.
an instant. It was so cool to have a Tesla at one point. Then they were burning them.
Yeah.
And it's just, this green energy movement, I'm all for all of the above strategy.
Of course.
When I was in West Texas, I saw a lot of windmills and solar panels around Griggs.
Right.
Because there's no lines bringing that power out to this very remote part of Texas. They need those renewables to help power the rigs in the intense energy demand of harnessing our natural gas and oil. It's got to all work together. The government shouldn't be picking winners and losers. The market's got to be involved, and consumer choice has to be at the forefront of this.
What does it look like with Energy Choice Act? You're saying bipartisan support? What's
we have
the
bipartisan
timeframe?
support right away. Senator Justice of West Virginia has introduced a companion bill in the Senate.
Oh, great.
So we're excited. We feel we got real momentum. I'm now on the Energy and Commerce Committee.
Great.
I'm the only New Yorker on that committee, the only one from north of Pennsylvania on that committee. So I look at my role on that committee is to take this fight to these Green New Deal policies that are stifling not just our state but our country. I mean, Hochul's unwillingness to allow pipelines to be created in New York is killing off our opportunity to win the AI war.
Right.
We have to have American energy going throughout the northeastern United States. And I'm going to use this platform any way I can to help that agenda.
Well, I know a lot of viewers right now are saying amen because the comments that I received when those first energy bills came with the increases, it's heartbreaking. Some of these people thinking about moving out of their house because they can't afford it because of your electric bill.
And the rates have gone up, but that's without mandated more usage.
I know.
Imagine what your electric bill would be if you had to heat the home.
Yeah.
All your electricity to heat the water in your home.
And retrofitting.
And retrofitting. But you're looking, if someone's on a geothermal heat pump, you're looking at a $1,500 a month electric bill. It's not sustainable. There's people that their mortgage payment's not that much.
No, of course not. Wow. Speaking of Governor Hochul, let's stick on that point for a moment. What an outstanding job you did, and we heard from so many viewers, grilling Governor Hochul recently. How did that feel?
Well, it was great to have.
We all wish we were there for a moment.
It was great to host the governor at the Oversight Committee. I don't think she enjoyed it as much as some of us did, but it was the opportunity where she had to sit there and take an oath and give answers or non-answers.
Right.
But you know what? She heard the questions. And I think a lot, from the feedback I've received from our district and from people across the state, they were appreciative that we brought her policies to light. I used my opportunity to talk about New York's green light law. And I've met with Tom Homan. I've met with, officials in ICE Buffalo, which has a jurisdiction of all of upstate New York and in the counties north of New York City. The biggest impediment to them doing their jobs is New York State's green light law. We readily share this data and information with Canada, but we won't share it as a matter of law with our federal law enforcement officers. So when an ICE agent or customs agent or a Homeland Security law enforcement officer pulls someone over, they're taking their matters in their own hands. They don't have any data. They don't know who they're pulling over. They don't know what name is associated with that car because it's got a New York tag on it. And we saw it just down the road in Endicott. They had a Peruvian serial killer that killed 23 people, hiding in plain sight right in Endicott. It took extra months for Buffalo ICE to hunt that guy down, that monster that had no business being in our country because of New York State's green light law.
And just in general at the hearing, wasn't it really telling when Governor Hochul was called out on all of these specific instances and she said, well, there's a lot of cases, basically saying I can't know them all. Well, isn't that a red flag?
She didn't know one of them.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, and I can't say I'm an expert on all of the names, but if I was the governor of the state, I'd know the person that perpetrated that horrific killing on the subway where someone was burned alive. I mean, these are days-long stories. It was a national story. It was on the front page of every paper in New York, and she was just so flippant and disengaged. I think that's the biggest takeaway I have is just how disengaged the governor was, acting as if we weren't asking valid questions.
Right.
I mean, those weren't Republican or Democratic questions. Those were law and order questions.
Yes.
Those were that was the will of my constituents.
Mm-hmm.
And her insistence on doubling down on sanctuary city and state policies, and now you see, even in the wake of her coming to Washington and leaving with her tail between her legs after a days long hearing, she announces $50 million of your money being spent to defend those that have come into the country illegally in a court of law. I mean, whose side are you on, Governor? Whose side are you on? Are you with the law-abiding taxpayer or the people that are here breaking the law? It's a pretty simple equation.
Don't you think she would have learned after how well Lee Zeldin did that public safety does matter to the residents of New York?
She knows that she can stay governor because of the mathematics of the voter registration in the state, never giving a damn about Steuben or Chemung or Schuyler counties, that she can just go and play to her New York City Democratic base in the extremes that vote in primaries.
Right.
You know, it's always the most liberal or the most conservative people that vote in the party primaries. As long as she keeps their support, she thinks she's going to win.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important for us to up the ante here. Get organized, get active, more than we ever have before.
Couldn't agree more.
Because we have to fight for this state. It's our home. It's worth fighting for. And our way of life in upstate New York has never been this under assault.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Now we've got to talk what we've all been waiting for, the big, beautiful bill. How perfect is that name?
It's a Trump branding exercise for sure.
Yes. So tell us, where's it at? What's it look like right now?
Well, right now the Senate is finalizing each of their departments, just like we went through that whole exercise. I don't know what will ultimately get to the floor or not. You know, they have to mark it up still. They have to go through the process. All we have is initial bill drafting. There's some things in there that, you know, I'm concerned about on things that my Energy and Commerce Committee avoided on the Medicaid discussion. Things that would impact our rural hospitals. That I would hope they could ultimately get out of that bill. But the Senate's got to go through their process. You know, things will change hour by hour. It's a matter of being able to get enough support behind the final bill for passage. But you know, this is extending the current tax code, which will lead to growth in this country like we haven't seen before. Some estimate there's $4 trillion of private equity sitting on the sidelines just waiting to see what the tax situation is in this country, because they're afraid it's all going to revert back to the Obama rates. And that will make us less competitive across the globe. We have to protect the programs that are there for our most vulnerable. I'm very proud that in the House bill that we put a common sense work requirement on Medicaid. So people that are able-bodied and are of working age, that don't have dependent children, have to actually go work for it like everybody else.
Wouldn't it be nice if the media represented it that way and not just try to scare people?
Every interview I've done, Frank, is just them telling me how could I callously throw people out in the street. It's like in the Congressional Budget Office is so dishonest. I mean, they say 4.5 million people are going to lose their coverage. It's like, but the great thing is the choice is theirs. They can keep the coverage. All they have to do is try to work.
Volunteer even.
They can volunteer. They can go to school. You know, they can get some sort of job training. They can do all of those things and still maintain the coverage. 20 hours a week, 80 hours a month. Try. We're just asking you to get in the game. Every business I visit is hiring.
I know.
Jobs are plentiful. You know, when I was on the factory floors a few weeks ago, the last recess we had, and talked about no tax on overtimes, you know, seeing those heads nod up and down, people thinking, finally the government is going to do something for me and help me put more money in my pocket. But then when I tell them about the work requirement on Medicaid, those same heads nod. Because I said, you work hard for your benefits to provide for your family. Everyone else that's able to should too.
And you mentioned people are hiring everywhere. I'm on the Salvation Army board. We'll let you volunteer any day if that's the low bar. So there's people that want you to volunteer. There's people that want you to work. It's a pretty low bar. And when people are presented with it that way, they support it wholeheartedly.
It's really a common sense approach. And, the best argument I think I make on this one is the fact that this is just harkening back to Bill Clinton's policies of the 90s.
I love it. Yeah.
It was one of the most popular things that Bill Clinton did his entire presidency. He worked with Republicans in Congress, but this was Bill Clinton's signature effort.
So
and now we're going to put it on Medicaid as well. It's the largest driver of costs that we have, and that's why it was such a huge debating point. There's things I'm concerned in that I see in the Senate bill that we got to work through that affect our rural hospital systems and rural health delivery. I'm confident we can get through those and find solutions. And we have no choice. We have to succeed here.
Just a couple other quick questions because I know you got a busy day. I wanted to say kudos to you for you were ahead of the curve when it came to student visas, looking into student visas. You had been pushing that for a very long time.
Yeah, last year we introduced, put out the Veto Your Visas Act after what I saw on the campuses at Columbia.
Exactly.
Those riots that took place, the anti-Semitism just out in the open.
I know.
Jewish students expressing how they feared for their lives. Our college campuses, especially those that are publicly funded, and frankly through federal student loans, they're all publicly funded.
Great point.
These cannot be laboratories for hate. They cannot be laboratories for anti-Semitism. Unfortunately, there is a normalization of that behavior from the academic elites.
Some would even argue that it's encouraging. They're encouraging the academic elites, the administrators, the professors are actually encouraging this kind of behavior.
And young conservatives that I talk to that are in school, they concede to me that they have to keep their mouth shut. Yeah. And they don't express their opinions in class because they're afraid that it's going to be impacted in their grades.
That's horrible.
We need to make these colleges, again, a marketplace of ideas. Where you're not judged because of your particular opinions and feelings, that you're celebrated for having opinions and feelings, and that has not been the case. But the Veto Your Visas Act is very similar to many of the executive orders that President Trump's already put forward and executed, and Marco Rubio is, I think, expertly locking down. If you break the laws of this country while you're here on a student visa, hit the bricks.
Yeah.
Get out of here. If you're out there protesting our country, this is a privilege.
Going against our values and everything that we stand for.
You wouldn't tolerate this from a house guest.
No.
And they're the ultimate house guests.
That's a great point.
They should not feel the right to come into our country, spew anti-Semitism, death to Israel.
Yeah.
The things that we've seen on these college campuses in the state of New York, it's unfathomable.
Yeah.
And these student visas should be canceled if they're here in spewing that kind of hate.
Just before we go, what are you seeing? I know you are keeping up on this as much as anybody can with Israel and Iran.
It's obviously no one wants to see war, but we've had war since October 7th. It's now just, frankly, between the perpetrator and the victim on October 7th was Israel. Iran funded Hamas. Iran funded Hezbollah, has funded the Houthis. They've rained hell down on Israel. Israel has fought back. Here's a country the size of the state of New Jersey, surrounded by countries that don't want them to exist, and they have fought back every iota. The precision that the Israelis have taken to this fight with Iran, I think, is really remarkable.
Yeah.
When you see how in one fell swoop they took out the entire leadership of the military, of the nuclear science arm of the Iranian government, and have just decapitated that leadership just under the Ayatollah. I think it just shows precision. They're not going after civilian population.
No.
They're going after the military targets.
And it's necessary.
And the precision that they've gone after the nuclear sites and the military holdings. And I think Iran has really been outed here as a paper tiger once again. It started last year when they launched the missiles into Israel, and one killed a Palestinian out of like 300 missiles. Yeah. Iran's going to run out of missiles very soon. They don't have much of a military. They clearly never had an air force, even though they said they had an elite one.
I think a lot of
the propaganda is very reminiscent of Iraq.
It is,
where Baghdad Bob was out there saying that he had the U.S. on the ropes. But Iran is hanging by a thread here, and the Ayatollah and the mullahs are obviously. There's 80 million people in that country. Most of them are not radical Islamic fundamentalists.
Right.
So I think it could be a new day for the people of Iran. God willing, is someone that celebrates peace.
Yeah.
And recognizes other countries' ability to exist and defend themselves. But Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Period. And we can't allow that to happen. The Israelis have taken matters into their own hands and done a brilliant job with it.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, final last question. I think I've said that 3 times. But I'm so disturbed to hear of the threats that you've been receiving at your offices, and I worry, and my thoughts are with your staff members who have to deal with this day in and day out. What are you doing, and what are you hearing on this recent spate of threats?
Well, thank you. It's unnerving.
Yeah.
And I ran for office.
Right.
Not that this should be accepted hazard of the job.
Right.
After Minnesota last Saturday,
yeah.
I'm looking at the world very differently. We're certainly taking measures at home to make sure that my family is always safe. But then Sunday night, after Minnesota happened, my office received a very threatening message, signed. Surprisingly, that basically suggested that my staff and I should all fear for our lives.
Oh my gosh! What does that feel like?
It's sadly for me personally, it's become too normal. But for my staff, they didn't run for anything.
Right.
These are people that
are
go to work every day, work hard, and,
yeah.
and solve problems for constituents of all party affiliations. They're not out there, promoting an ideology or voting on bills. They're helping people every day. And I am going to take a zero tolerance policy. Anyone that threatens my staff or my own well-being, we are going to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. And this has to be the policy across the country. And I know after Minnesota, members of the Republican majority had a call with the Sergeant at Arms and with the Capitol Police talking about how we need this to be taken very seriously because what I have had is somewhat minor compared to what some of my colleagues have faced. But you can't threaten public officials and expect there not to be consequences. And anyone that threatens my staff and my team is going to pay the ultimate consequences, and we're going to pursue every charge at the local, state, and federal level that we can against them.
Good. Well, Nick, thanks so good. Mr. Congressman, excuse me. Thank you for giving us so much time here in the Frankly Speaking studios. Let's do it again soon.
It's great to be back with you. I look forward to the opportunity.
All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.